ADHD. It's something that's often misunderstood. It's a disorder that's been around forever, yet for some reason it's plagued by misinformation and stigma. If left untreated, ADHD can not only lead to a life of struggle and misunderstanding. Research states that it can also lead to anxiety, depression, marital and family breakups, and self-medication through substance abuse. We all need to be better informed about this disorder, so those individuals who have ADHD will get the help they need. In this video, you will hear people speaking about their experiences with ADHD, the misperceptions and stigma they deal with on a daily basis, and what they wish others understood about the disorder. Although the people being interviewed gave their answers freely and without hesitation, we've chosen to leave their faces in shadow. Until we can conquer the false assumptions and lift the existing stigma surrounding ADHD, those with the disorder will continue to feel uncomfortable with being the face of ADHD. Now let's begin.
ADHD is real. I live it every single day. I have lots of folks that I can see around me that deal with it that may or may not know that they have it.
You don't get it from the water. You don't get it from eating too much sugar. It is a neurobiological going wrong, misfiring in the brain, and you're born with it.
Unfortunately, we do have a stigma that, ADHD is just the hyperactivity and it's only for boys and that kind of thing. For me as an educator, I see it in both genders, I think that a lot of folks don't realize that ADHD can be manifests itself in different forms, like disorganization. That it's not just about hyperactivity, it's about a multifaceted sort of disorder that can present itself in multiple ways. It can change over time. There's combinations. Sometimes there's a combination of ADHD and learning disabilities, but there's also times where the ADHD is just by itself.
It isn't being willfully disobedient, or like the child isn't being willfully bad, and the adult is not willfully avoiding responsibilities or tasks, or is lazy or crazy or stupid. It's something that a lot of people are dealing with and struggling on a day-to-day. It's a day-to-day basis. It's a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week.
Just boundless energy, and climb trees, and wouldn't sleep at night, and all those kinds of things. Had trouble in school, always interrupting people, couldn't concentrate, would walk out when I wasn't supposed to, would walk in when I wasn't supposed to, got in trouble a lot.
It was really tough as a kid. I was afraid of my own shadow, and I just didn't want to get verbally, physically beaten.
I think he's learning to accept it, but he still finds it embarrassing and distressing at times, and it's almost like he gets angry with himself and frustrated because he doesn't have control of his actions, and it disturbs him.
From the time he was born, I knew there was a difference. He was extremely alert, didn't sleep, had some separation issues. As a toddler, my father used to say he wasn't a handful, he was 3 handfuls.
I didn't understand. I knew I was different, but I didn't understand why. And I didn't know anybody like me. And I was bullied a lot at school. I remember crying in the classroom and putting my head down on my desk and just being so frustrated I could have thrown something across the room, and instead I would just burst into tears and become an absolute emotional mess. And the teacher would then, escort me out of the room and whatever. But classmates had a field day with that.
In grade 3, for example, and I think I used to let it out at school, because in grade 3 my nickname was Motor Mouth, And sadly, my teacher's way of dealing with it when I talked too much was to make me stand behind my chair and put my hands on my head, because that was somehow going to teach me to stop talking. All it did was embarrass me and make me feel worse.
Why can't you do this? Why can't you be like this? Why can't you stop doing this? Why can't you be quiet? Why can't you sit still? Why must you always be in detention? Why can't you put your hand up like everybody else? Why is stuff always coming out of your mouth? Why are you disobedient?
My thoughts are so scattered all the time that I actually need categories to fit certain things into. Somebody showed me a picture one time of a whole bunch of it almost looked like chaos string theory, and I thought, oh my gosh, that's actually how I think. Stuff is all over the place, it's all equal. And so for me, having that label is good, but other folks say to me, oh, you're just blaming it on that.
After years of people looking at you strangely, I've had that. I laugh, and I've been trying to be very open about it, and I'll say, oh, you know, sometimes things are going to come out without the filter on because my filter's broken. It comes into my head, and half the time it's out my mouth. Then I have to deal with the consequences.
It's sort of like having your own shadow trip you all the time and not even knowing that that is happening. And that's led to like an erosion of self-esteem. That's led to not being willing to take chances, to not willing to realize my own potential.
I see everything and I hear everything equally. That's kind of my hell, if you will, my day-to-day hell. To not be able to filter out the priority for certain tasks, for what I see in the room. I will ask you to, try to not listen to the clock that's on the wall. I can still hear it even though I'm talking. I'm aware of it. I'm aware that somebody's standing behind me. I'm aware that there's somebody else in the room. I can see other people moving.
Just losing faith in my own abilities over the years. And it's like a slow leak, The image that I came up with is it's like shooting down a Zeppelin with a pellet gun. Every experience that goes bad, every relationship that falls apart, every uncompleted task, these are all tiny little holes that the air, which is primarily, I guess, your self-esteem, just leaks out, and before you know it, you have no ability, faith in your abilities.
I find it fascinating that somebody could sit down and read a book and just actually focus on that one thing. I find that extremely fascinating, and I don't know how anybody can do that.
Pretty much every relationship I've had has gone bad because of my undiagnosed ADHD, from my part that I see. There are always other issues as well, but certainly going through relationships with undiagnosed ADHD exasperated many situations that otherwise could have been dealt with differently or, avoided altogether.
Why am I like that? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me?
If I had the power, I would hope that people would, understand that this is a serious condition that can severely affect someone's life, particularly if it's left unaware, unnoticed, undiagnosed, unmanaged.
Everybody is different in their own way. And again, as I've explained to my son, some people's differences are on the outside. You can see people with physical differences, physical challenges. They might be in a wheelchair, and then it's obvious that they are just a little different. I said, but our difference is on the inside, so people don't know unless you explain it. Either way, we both have differences, and we are also both entitled to the same respect.
You can focus at times really well, but at other times you can't focus. And that trying to explain to someone that you have no control over how your brain is regulating these functions is quite challenging.
I would just ask them, like any other issue where there's doubters, you know, have you taken a couple of hours to really read the studies, talk to psychologists or psychiatrists about it? Because I'm 100% certain my son has it, and then I'm 100% certain if he does, then there's lots of other people out there that have it as well.
From the shadows, we've heard from some real people who are dealing with ADHD within their lives and family. We've heard about their struggles and triumphs, as well as the pain that the lack of understanding can cause. One of the people in this video has decided to come out from the shadows so as to put a face to ADHD. And that person is me. ADHD isn't necessarily something that you can easily spot. Those with ADHD are not always overly active. They can also be the total opposite. Regardless, dealing with ADHD can be a struggle, and when left untreated could result in a great deal of unnecessary pain. Trust me, ADHD is real. Thanks for taking the time to view this video. We hope you'll spread the word about ADHD and how it affects those who have to deal with the disorder every day of their lives. No one should feel the need to hide the fact that they have a medical disorder. It's time to shine a light on ADHD, to inspire understanding. We urge you to send the link to this video to someone that you feel needs to be better informed. After all, no one should judge what they don't understand.